The Galactic Council chamber became quiet as Mir strode through the crystalline interior, his boots resonating on the gleaming floor. Trailing behind him, tethered only by a worn rope, moved the Void Reaver, a being that had obliterated 3 colony worlds and reduced the most valiant Krillian warriors to cosmic remnants. Akeem, the youngest xenobiologist on the council, let her datapad slip from her grasp. The holographic projection sputtered and vanished as every delegate's gaze fixated on the extraordinary scene unfolding before them. "By the 7 suns," Ambassador Thoxler murmured, his 4 eyes growing wide with astonishment. The human endured, with only a few scratches behind what could only be called the Reaver's ear-like structure. The enormous beast, covered in obsidian scales and equipped with teeth meant to breach starship hulls, emitted a noise that was a blend of a purr and a deep, subsonic rumble. Its eyes, once depicted in fearful accounts as portals to the void, were now half closed in satisfaction. "So regarding that," Mir said, his voice adopting the laid-back tone that often unsettled many alien species, "it seems that no one ever bothered to have a conversation with him before concluding that he should be eliminated." 3 weeks prior, the Council had found themselves in a state of desperation. The Void Reaver had appeared from a spatial anomaly close to the Andromeda Gate, and nothing in their extensive arsenal had even left a mark on it. Plasma cannons disintegrated before making contact with its skin. Quantum torpedoes passed through it effortlessly, akin to light gliding through glass. The being appeared to exist partially beyond the usual confines of space-time, rendering it essentially unbeatable. When Mir had stepped up for the diplomatic mission, a euphemism for what everyone recognized as a suicide run, Akeem had been the sole voice of dissent. "This is murder," she insisted, her violet eyes blazing with fury. "We're sending him to his fate because we're too scared to acknowledge our lack of understanding about what we're facing." The Council had dismissed her decision. Humans, they concluded, were disposable, a youthful species just a century into space exploration, with a troubling inclination to address issues through what they termed creative thinking and what others referred to as reckless neglect of established procedures. Mir had set off regardless, equipped only with a translation matrix, a survival pack, and what he deemed the most essential tool in the universe, a bag of beef jerky. Now standing before the gathered representatives of 47 species, he appeared less like a man who had confronted imminent demise and more like someone who had just come back from a camping excursion. "His name is Brutus," Mir declared, giving the rope a soft pull. The Void Reaver crouched down, its enormous tail wrapping around Mir's legs in a protective embrace. He felt frightened and isolated. The spatial anomaly was not a portal he had traversed. It was his egg sac. He emerged into our world without a mother, without a pack, without anything, feeling both hungry and a bit lost. Akeem edged nearer, her inquisitive nature taking precedence over her astonishment. You tamed the Void Reaver." "Domesticated?" Mir chuckled. "We just became friends, that's all. It seems that when you're not aiming at something, it's much simpler to understand what it desires." He retrieved a strip of jerky from his pocket. Brutus's large head dipped down. With unexpected gentleness, the being that had obliterated whole fleets accepted the gift between its teeth, which were as large as shuttlecraft. The satisfied rumble grew stronger. "This is impossible!" High Commander Zixtar exclaimed, his scales turning a deep shade of alarmed purple. "The creature's biology functions according to principles that contradict established physics. It cannot be argued with." "It can't be. It's a baby," Mir cut in, "a frightened, starving infant in a cosmos it cannot comprehend. Does that ring a bell?" The ensuing silence was overwhelming. Akeem's gaze connected with the reflections in the chamber, revealing a sense of comprehension within them. After all, humans were the latest species to emerge on the galactic scene. They understood the sensation of solitude in the shadows. On the first night, Mir kept his voice softer now, I chose not to confront him. I took a seat, unpacked my food, and had dinner as he observed. It took 3 days for him to get comfortable enough to accept food from my hand. It took him another week before he allowed me to touch him. It appears that Void Reavers are social beings. He wasn't assaulting your colonies. He sought out others who shared his experiences. Thoxar leaned forward, observing the wreckage of the ships. The terminals. He believed they were eggs. He was trying to break them open in search of family. Mir gave a single shrug. I provided an explanation, and it indeed took some time to calibrate the translation matrix. He was filled with dread. I had no idea there were things inside. His species seems to have exceptionally tough eggs. Akeem moved closer, gradually, reaching out with her hand. Brutus's large head turned in her direction. Eyes once characterized as deep, endless chasms, now unmistakably revealed as simply dark, curious, and distinctly reptilian. The creature inhaled the scent of her hand, then softly nudged its snout against her palm. Her laughter rang out, filled with sheer amazement. Amazing! This changes the entire situation, Ambassador Cathan said, her crystalline figure bending the chamber's light into vibrant rainbows. Whether the human is capable of communicating with the Reaver and reasoning is possible. Brutus corrected. His name is Brutus, and he is not an it. Additionally, he is curious if there is a method to determine his true species. He feels isolated. The council burst into a frenzy of debate. Akeem approached Mir, speaking softly. They were prepared to allow you to perish. I understand you went regardless. It was necessary for someone to attempt a different approach. He looked over at Brutus, who was now observing the council's decorative fountain with curiosity. Sometimes, the most frightening monsters are merely individuals or beings that no one bothered to understand. High Commander Zixstar demanded silence. Human Mir, representing the Galactic Council, we extend our apologies. Your achievement in areas where our efforts fell short is truly humbling. Save your apology, Mir said, his tone still warm. Please help me find Brutus's family. Maybe next time you consider labeling something as a monster that needs to be eliminated, you should consult Akeem first. She was the only one who understood it correctly. Akeem's cheeks flushed with warmth at the compliment. Surrounding them, the mightiest entities in the known galaxy acknowledged with a slow nod, faced with the truth as old as civilization itself. Sometimes the most courageous act wasn't battling the beast. It was making friends with it. Brutus yawned, showing that teeth could easily bite through battle armor, and then rested his enormous head on Mir's shoulder. The person swayed a bit under the burden, yet remained silent, just lifting a hand to scratch the Void Reaver's chin. At that instant, the perception of humanity changed. They weren't merely the wild newcomers who disregarded protocols. They were the kind that recognized family, where others perceived only fear. And throughout the galaxy, that changed everything.